Week 3 saw missed opportunities for Southampton and Watford. Both failed to beat newly promoted opposition, with Miguel Brito's red card leaving him suspended for the Hornets' trip to St Mary's this weekend. In his absence, Watford face a side whose problems in front of goal are well documented. A poor shot conversion rate integral to Southampton failing to score in all but 3 of their last 11 Premier League games. The room for improvement is stark.
The figures definitely need to improve for shot conversion rate, yes. They weren't able to call on Charlie Austin. They weren't able to call on Jay Rodriguez for a lot of that season with his injuries as well. So when you're relying on one person to score the goals, it maybe becomes a little bit too much. So they need to spread the goals around. As I said, get the wingers scoring goals, midfielders scoring goals. I think a lot of managers in football will say they'd rather be creating chances and missing them than not be creating chances at all.
Southampton may be struggling in front of goal, but defensively, it's a different story. Fraser Forster's steady hands have been safeguarding the Saints' net since the start of the 2014-15 campaign. And he boasts 12 saves already in the opening 3 games, the 4th highest in the Premier League, conceding only 2 goals in the process. That's a solidity that's brought him 35 top-flight clean sheets.
I think Fraser Forster's a good goalkeeper just because, first and foremost, he's a good shot stopper. I believe a lot of goalkeepers nowadays believe they have to save everything with their hands and they need to be sort of perfect saves. When I watch him, he seems a keeper that uses any part of his body to make saves, which I like because it ultimately stops the ball going into the net. But also, as we spoke about, Southampton are a team that like to set up solid. He's the keeper that plays for them. He's the one that is the main organiser from back there. And he's able to keep the team around him to limit the chances that he has to save.
Watford, on the other hand, have struggled defensively. The Hornets have conceded 7 goals from errors since the start of 2017, a tally only eclipsed by Crystal Palace. Whilst only Sunderland and Arsenal have faced more shots on target since the turn of the year. Marco Silva will hope his arrival brings an end to Watford's reliance on their home form and inspire an improvement in last season's disappointing away record. Last month's victory at Bournemouth is the only time they've avoided defeat on the road since February. Watford summer signing Richarlison has hit the ground running, his goal at Bournemouth making him the 6th Watford player to score in his first Premier League start for the club, joining the likes of Tommy Smith and Heider Helguson. The Brazilian already boasts 11 shots to his name, 1 every 19 minutes.
Richarlison looks a good signing so far. He's an exciting under-20 Brazil international. Obviously, anytime you see a Brazilian in the league, you know they're going to have flair, they're going to have skills. But it'll be interesting to see how he works with Marco's hard-working regime.
The last 2 meetings at St Mary's have been drawn. A line of form? Well, not necessarily. This is the 5th successive match between the sides here, in which they both had different managers to the previous encounter. So could Mauricio Pellegrino and Marco Silva be the key ingredient to spicing up this game?
I believe the game between Watford and Southampton will be a pretty similar result to last time. I hate to be boring, but I believe it could be a ball draw and be 0-0 based on statistics we've already seen and spoken about. I think both teams will set up solid knowing that the other won't want to be too expansive, and then I think a 0-0 draw is probably going to be the result.
West Ham United are a side under pressure. No points at all so far, and a tally of goals conceded that's in double figures. The Hammers let in at least 3 in each of their league matches in August, something they've suffered 18 times in the Premier League since Slaven Bilic took charge. He admits he's worried by the team's form, and it's easy to see why. The last time the Hammers lost their opening 3 Premier League matches was back in 2010 when they went on to finish bottom. If they're hoping their first home game of the campaign will change the mood, the omens aren't good. West Ham have only won just over a third of their league fixtures at the London Stadium since moving there at the start of last season. All quite a contrast to the buoyant atmosphere surrounding Huddersfield Town. Their flying start owes a lot to sheer hard work. So far, they've been involved in more tackles than any other team, only Liverpool winning more than the Terriers 46. And they're one of just 2 clubs yet to concede. The other is Manchester United. So the form guide reads better than any Huddersfield fan dared to dream. 7 points from a possible 9 so far. A near perfect start to Premier League life. That includes one away win already for a team which previously had won 41% of its matches on the road since head coach David Wagner took charge for the first time.
Brighton and Hove Albion are off the mark. A stalemate against 10-man Watford last time out awarded Chris Hughton's side their first ever Premier League point. But while the wait for their first goal continues, keeper Matt Ryan leads the way in relation to the number of catches he's made. 6 in total. No other top-flight keeper has registered more so far this term. However, the Australian could now face competition for a place in the starting lineup with the arrival of Tim Krul from Newcastle United on a season-long loan. Despite Ryan keeping a clean sheet last time out, he's so far conceded 4 goals, with 3 of those coming during the second half. And having failed to bolster their attacking options, Brighton's focus must be to limit the amount they ship in. This weekend, they host a side who know all about defending a marginal lead. Since Tony Pulis took charge at West Bromwich Albion, the Baggies have won 15 Premier League games by a 1-0 scoreline, the most in the competition during that time. But since the start of this season, the number of shots on target has dwindled. In their last 2 games combined, they've registered 3, exactly half the number they recorded in the first game. Their goal tally of 3 in 3 games still constitutes their best at this point of a Premier League season for 5 years, with their trademark aerial ability again coming to the fore. 2 of their 3 goals have come that way, a tally only exceeded up to this point by Leicester City. And if West Brom can win, it'll be their best league start to a top-flight season for 39 years.
Swansea City seem to be adapting to life without Gylfi Sigurdsson. They showed no sign of struggling against Crystal Palace last time out, a comfortable 2-0 win for Paul Clement's men. Newcastle United will hope to pick up where they left off before the international break. A handsome 3-0 victory over West Ham United gave them their first points since promotion back to the top flight. Wilfried Boney returned on transfer deadline day for his second spell at the Liberty Stadium. In his previous 18 months with the Swans, the side won just twice when he didn't feature. Along with fellow new signing Renato Sanchez, the striker will hope to be equally influential this time. One of the men who's made a real difference to Newcastle is Matt Ritchie since signing from Bournemouth back in July 2016. The winger's covered more ground than any of his teammates this season, and only Christian Atsu has registered more sprints than Ritchie's 160.
I was surprised he first went out of the Championship when they were down seasons ago, because he was one of Bournemouth's better players, I felt, and was a great signing for Newcastle. And I think he shows this year, even in the first couple of games. You know, he's the sort of spark that they have with you know, his fantastic delivery and set plays, and as you say, man of the match performance against West Ham last week.
The Swans have lost just twice to Newcastle in the Premier League, with one of their best performances back in December 2013. Nathan Dyer and an own goal from Mathieu Debuchy put the Magpies in serious trouble before Jonjo Shelvey scored himself against the team he now plays for. A comprehensive 3-0 Swansea success.
Earlier in the programme, we asked you which American player has scored the most goals in the Premier League. The answer, former Fulham and Tottenham forward Clint Dempsey, who scored 57 during his time at the 2 London clubs between 2007 and 2014.
With just 1 win in their last 7 Premier League games at Turf Moor, Burnley manager Sean Dyche will urge his side to get back to the form they showed at the start of last season, when they won 64% of their opening 11 home fixtures. New signing Chris Wood could help improve things. With a debut goal for the Clarets last time out, he's scored in over half his league appearances since the start of last season. That late strike against Tottenham Hotspur was the only second-half goal Burnley have scored to this point. That means in the opening 3 games, 75% of their goals came in the first half. Only Everton and Bournemouth have bettered that ratio in the Premier League so far. Dyche's side have cause for confidence against this weekend's opponents. They did the double over them last season. Crystal Palace have started the new campaign where they left off in May. It's now 7 losses in the last 8 Premier League matches, without a goal in any of those defeats. Frank de Boer's men certainly need Christian Benteke to regain the scoring touch that served him well, especially away from home. The Palace target man's found the net 5 times on his travels in 2017, the joint 4th highest tally. The signing of Liverpool defender Mamadou Sakho should help turn things around. He played a key role in the Eagles' survival last season and is much needed. Only Arsenal and West Ham United have conceded more goals so far this campaign. With pressure building on De Boer, Palace badly want to head home from Turf Moor with something to show for their efforts.
A frantic transfer window in the Premier League closed last week after 133 new signings. Promoted side Huddersfield Town set out their intentions to stay in the top flight with 13 new acquisitions to bolster their squad, one ahead of both Everton and Watford. Romelu Lukaku was the most costly signing, swapping Goodison Park for Old Trafford. Champions Chelsea agreed a £58 million deal with Real Madrid for Alvaro Morata, while Manchester City boosted their title chances by signing Monaco's Benjamin Mendy. Those deals amongst the moves which took the combined spending of Premier League clubs to £1.4 billion, a rise of 19% on last summer.
A tasty fixture kicks things off this week between Manchester City and Liverpool, one of 7 games on Saturday, including the last 2 champions head-to-head as Chelsea travel to Leicester. Sunday sees Burnley face Crystal Palace and Swansea host Newcastle, while Huddersfield go to West Ham on Monday. It's Manchester United setting the pace, Liverpool's Sadio Mane and United's Romelu Lukaku leading the scoring. The Premier League is back after the international break and promises to be electrifying. From Jim Proudfoot and me, Dave Beckett, goodbye.